want to start with a poem that I think will anchor this conversation nicely. This one is one of mine, and if you can hear the sound in the background, that's just my dog drinking water. He's quite a thirsty boy. I wrote this poem on a very stormy day. Maybe stormy isn't the right word. It was very windy. There was this huge wind blowing in. The leaves were everywhere, and it just felt like something was entering. Something was, it was entering. It was making itself known. It was something profound. It just felt supernatural. It felt powerful. It almost felt like an omen, but a divine kind of, like a divine messenger was riding on those winds. And something in me said, whatever this is, welcome it. Don't resist it, don't run from it. Welcome it. So this poem is called Now he's peeing. This poem is called The Feeling. A snow-white sheet fluttering above the sand, suspended by the frail pinch of two wooden pegs. At this quiet hour, time drifts with the clouds. Shadows creep along the hedge. Light winks through the gaps. The old yew trembles, weeping solemn tears. A shower of autumn leaves laid upon my pyre of grief. The chatter of daytime softens and bears witness. Heads bow in reverence. Something has arrived. It won't reveal itself to reason's grasp. Wisdom only nods. This cannot be caught. A stranger to the man, but the heart remembers. This time he is ready. This time he lets it come. Riding the current of a surging breeze, at once weightless yet immense as the sea. Passing all of my masks, it billows through my door, straight to the storm's eye, to face me once more. In the silence of my surrender, it strums the taut strings of my soul, until all through me rings the sound of an old song I would not hold. Leaning in, letting go, listen to the language my mind can never know. At the end of denial and defense, when all seeking finally relents, the truth comes as a feeling. I welcome it as a friend. And so I wrote that poem as a meditation, as a prayer, and as a welcoming. And I sat down with it. I sat down in that wind, and I just closed my eyes and I opened my heart to whatever it was bringing, because I knew it was God sent. And over the past week, since that wind has blown in, I felt a shift in my inner world, in how I've been relating to myself and my truth. One thing I realized around the time of writing that poem was that For quite a while, since my awakening started about 2, 3 years ago, I have been almost reciting, echoing like a broken record, how hungry I was for the truth, because I suddenly woke up and I realized how far I was from my own truth. And there was this desperate thirst, this desperate hunger to catch up on all that truth I had been missing out on. And to reconcile that emptiness that I had tried to fill with all sorts of things, but ultimately realizing the truth is what I needed. And a lot of my artworks around that time also evolved around the theme of truth. I remember I did an exhibition, and it was a shared exhibition, a group exhibition. But the theme of my series was the truth of it all, and it was about this character who awakens to the numinous quality of this universe and his life within it, and how he was just drifting in a sea of everything, and he was suddenly unbound by all his limitations, perceived and otherwise, and the truth came rushing in like an old friend. And maybe that series was also part of a prayer, because I'm realizing I've been calling forth the truth over and over and over in different sort of ways ever since then. My life has, you might even say, like irritatingly so to an outsider, been so centered around finding and seeking the truth and knowing the truth. Yet at the same time, I came with my old pathology, my old configuration, how I had been taught and acculturated to handle emotions, to handle grief, to handle anxiety, to handle anger even. And the overriding instruction there was suppress, suppress and perform, and just kind of be strong, be brave. And I had unconsciously been doing that to my feelings. I'd kind of been in this push and pull relationship where I would call forth the truth. It would arise in some uncomfortable way, because truly it was spilling over into all of my daily life. I became dysfunctional. I became highly just anxious. I lost my social prowess. I couldn't be quite as present in situations while stuffing everything down, because everything was right at the surface. And it was very clear that I was in the grip of something. I was dealing with something heavy, even though I was desperately trying to just continue my life in the process, right? I couldn't afford to just drop everything and fully attend to these feelings. But it became clearer and clearer that there's no running from this and there's no getting around it. But it's been an evolving realization. And just the past week, with this wind that blew in, I realized, maybe it was inspired by a podcast that I'd watched about, healing chronic pain and illness is very much tied to allowing your feelings to pass through you, allowing the sensations to pass through you, and not resisting it. And this other lady also spoke about how the truth comes first. As it doesn't come as a thought, it doesn't come as an insight, eureka. It comes as a sensation. It starts in the field. It starts in your, like, in the underground of your system, and then it rises up into something that you can grasp and dissect or whatever. But all of these seeds kind of sprouted the recognition that, right, I've been asking for the truth to come, and yet I've been pushing it down. I've been very selective about how it came through, right? I was all for the insights. I was all for the things that I could grasp and put down in my journal, and and contemplate. But the feelings, the raw feelings, for the most part, I really struggled with those, even though I was learning to make some space for them and to accommodate them. But I was really struggling with, with just facing them head on. And something about that time period last week finally brought everything into alignment, and I realized that the feeling, or the truth, comes first as a feeling, and if you allow that to enter, that's when it rises up into something that you can actually work with. I'm just gonna quickly blow my nose. Sorry about that. Take two. It's a bit chilly. So yeah, that what I was just saying was that the truth comes first as a feeling, primarily and essentially, and that feeling isn't there to cause chaos in your life. It's exactly what you prayed for. Well, I'm just speaking this to myself, but I'm saying you. I get my yous and I's mixed up sometimes, but anyway, stick with me. That feeling isn't there to destroy your life. It's there to answer prayer, It's like, oh, thank God, you asked for me, here I am. And as you sit with it, then it begins to reveal its jewels. And following this, I was just able to sit with the uncomfortable emotions, the heavy emotions that have been permeating in my field for such a long time, decades, or over a decade at least. I'm not that old. And just to allow it, to welcome it in and to let it just settle. Because I'm like, for better or worse, this is a part of my story. So I need to figure it out. I need to get clear on what is going on inside me. What do I know? What is this revealing about what I know? And man, do I tell you, the amount of revelations I've had about the pieces of my own life that were missing or muddied or muddled, that were just unclear, that were obscure, that were confused. The revelations that have come pouring in from that allowing. And as they come, I'm just like, don't stop. I know it's a lot. I'm breathing through it all. I'm asking for courage. I'm asking for strength. I'm asking for grounding and grace in this time. But don't let the truth stop, because it's exactly what I need to get free right now. And yesterday, specifically, I cracked the code on something so profound in my life that I can't really speak of just yet, because it's still a very sensitive matter. and I'm kind of still in the thick of it. But this thing I realized has been hanging on my tongue for over a decade, what I knew. But I was a child back then, right? And I was completely overwhelmed and blindsided and unsupported, unresourced. And at that stage, I did not have the capacity to embrace and express what I intuitively knew. And so it's like I buried it deep inside me in a place I could not reach, in a place that was out of sight, but it was still very much felt. And that was the root of so much turmoil, inner turmoil. This private feeling that I was going crazy the whole time. That there was something on my shoulder, like there was something, there was something hanging over me that I could not kind of wrap my head around. That's just a dog, if you hear that sound. And now I had the maturity and the space within me, and I guess I had developed, the perspective and the groundedness and the vocabulary even enough to a point where I was ready to reach deep inside and grab that thing. And it was never outside of me. That's the thing. That's the crazy thing. It's like I've been looking everywhere, trying to figure out what it is, where it is. But I wasn't going straight to the core, right? Straight to the eye of the storm. And as soon as I did, the minute I did, without any agenda to rush through it, to dismiss it, to cast it into doubt, but with a full compassionate witnessing, that knew that I know what I know. As soon as I approached that from that place, there it was. And it was undeniable. Like everything was connecting, like ding, 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 like dots like pins on a board, on a detective board. There's like all of these clues that had been littered throughout my life suddenly came into a constellation. And there it was, clear as day. And what's even crazier is, I don't know, a part of me was shocked at how calm I felt in the midst of that. And maybe that's why the image of the eye of the storm feels appropriate right now, is because I was surprised by the calm. I was surprised by the calm, by like how like still it was when I landed on that. I was expecting my whole world to be upturned. I was expecting the end of the world. A part of me was. But because I was aligning with my own truth, aligning with my own knowing, and not fighting myself, right? Not pushing it down. Because that was the feeling as well. That was the feeling of the turmoil reflected in my soma, in my body, in my emotional field. It was the feeling of like pushing down, or that tug of war, that push and pull against the truth. And the minute I just let it be and looked at it and acknowledged it, as big as it was, as world ending as it was, there was peace, to the likes of which I have rarely felt before.